A local couple says a man broke into their home and stole a pizza cutter before he was shot by a deputy. Hear their terrifying experience and the sheriff's timeline of the situation. Plus, in the same county, caught on WRAL's cameras, deputies arrest a man wanted for murder. Then a new twist in an animal cruelty case. Police say the suspect's attorney disguised herself to try and take the dogs back.
We kick off a pattern of storms tonight that will carry over into the weekend. I'll show you which days your holiday travel could be impacted. Plus, the most dramatic hurricane season forecast NOAA has ever issued.
And right now at 7 o'clock, we're tracking storms across our area. Some could be severe as we take a look at the radar. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dan Haggerty.
And I'm Ashley Rowe. Here is a live look at Chapel Hill. It looks like it's not too bad out there as we head towards our Friday. Just the beginning, though, of unsettled weather on tap for your Memorial Day weekend.
Meteorologist Kat Campbell is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Again, these storms mostly continue overnight, don't they, Kat?
Right, Dan. We could see another round move through overnight. And the bulk of these storms have been in the northern half of our viewing area, staying just north of Raleigh, but Wake Forest has seen some of the rain, as well as Falls Lake, and we're watching these showers clear out of Durham. They're moving into Rocky Mount right now and moving out of Franklinton. So we'll continue to track these storms as they move east. The potential for winds to gust up to about 40 miles per hour as of right now, but we can't rule out a storm with damaging wind gusts and perhaps some hail later tonight. Here's more storms coming our way, and here's even more. So those are the rounds of storms that could move through overnight. 6 a.m. we've got a 50% chance of rain and storms, about a 40% chance at 8 a.m. and the rain should quickly taper off after that. This evening, there is a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe storms, and we have another level 1 risk on the way for Saturday. We'll have a chance for storms in the forecast each day for the holiday weekend, but no day looks like a washout, and these are your typical summertime storms, so I don't think there's any day where every single neighborhood is going to see rain. These storms primarily start to pop up between about 2 and 4 p.m., and they should start to fade after sunset most days. Tomorrow's the exception with morning rain, and of course, we have a very active hurricane season in the forecast. I'll have more on that coming up.
People are going to want to listen to that one. Kat, thank you.
I'm Willie Danley in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. I'm standing here on East Edenton Street where you can see police are conducting an investigation. Right now they have East Edenton Street closed off between North State Street and Idlewild Avenue. Take a look at this video that I captured here on the ground and you can get a closer look at this investigation. What we know right now is that there is an adult male that was transported to the hospital with some injuries. Raleigh police couldn't disclose what kind of injuries those were right now due to the investigation still being ongoing. We're working on figuring out what happened here and what the current condition of that man is. We're going to get those answers and let you know what happens. Back to you.
All right, Willie, thank you. Well, you don't see this as the weapon of choice very often. Pizza cutter. Yeah, tonight a man is accused of charging at a Nash County deputy with a pizza cutter before that deputy shot him. This all started early this morning at a home on Big Woods Road in Spring Hope, where the owners of that home say their pizza cutter was stolen from their sink. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan with the bizarre chain of events.
So he was pretty aggressive.
William Vandermeulen and his wife Michelle stand outside their tree-lined Spring Hope home.
Just sitting in the living room and then heard a commotion, thought about it might be my son.
It was 7:30 this morning. William was having his coffee and he looked up to see someone standing in his kitchen.
He didn't really say anything, but I asked him, "What are you doing here?" And he didn't really answer, and I was like, "Get out of my house."
This man, 33-year-old Juan Salazar, was standing in front of him.
He was pretty aggressive, agitated, and then that's when he ran kind of over to the kitchen part, like where the sink is, like he was looking for something, then grabbed the pizza cutter out of the drain.
William ran into another room and called 911. Juan Salazar ran out of the house. A deputy saw him walking on this bridge on Big Woods Road over Highway 64.
At that time, he confronted the suspect. The suspect then, armed with some type of weapon, approaches and the deputy fires one shot.
Deputy Miguel Salazar, same last name but no relation to the suspect, fired one shot after being charged at with a pizza cutter, says Sheriff Keith Stone.
My deputy will have to live with this the rest of his life and understand that, the fabric of law enforcement, if law enforcement don't stop these threats, people breaking in your home, there's nobody else coming. And I just commend the actions of my deputy, his quick thinking.
Juan Salazar is at Wake Med, according to authorities. The deputy was not injured and is on administrative leave.
I'm still as you can tell, in shock, because it's just, you don't ever expect that to happen.
That was our Chelsea Donovan reporting. The SBI is investigating, which is standard procedure. And staying in Nash County, WRAL captured video of the moments deputies arrested a murder suspect after finding a 63-year-old man dead during a welfare check. The sheriff's office says 37-year-old Brandon Early of Bailey knew the victim, who died of a single gunshot wound. He was wearing camouflage face paint when deputies led him out of the woods. They had been searching for him using dogs and drones. The victim, found dead in a home on Lyles Road, has not been identified.
And new now at 7 o'clock, really just a bizarre twist to a local animal cruelty case. Investigators rescued the 4 dogs that you see here on the screen, along with 150 others from what they described as deplorable conditions in Chatham County earlier this year. All new tonight, though, the suspect's attorney in this case is now accused of disguising herself and then trying to take those dogs back. WRAL's Aaron Thomas is live for us in Chatham County tonight. There's a push here, Aaron, to disqualify the arrested woman's lawyer from this case. It really is a kind of a bizarre string of events here.
Yeah, bizarre is really the best word to determine and describe the situation. So the state has filed a motion to have this attorney dismissed after an incident that happened at an animal rescue group just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. In fact, that group helped the sheriff deputies here in Chatham County with this animal rescue operation. The shelter director I interviewed says that it was very bizarre to see this defense attorney representing the arrested woman show up at the facility dressed up as a vet inspector.
So she was confronted by one of our volunteers and stopped and asked to come in and speak to me. She tried to serve me with the subpoena, and she was dressed in hospital scrubs. She had her latex gloves on already, a little fanny pack, clipboard.
And you're now looking at a page of this court document filed this month by the state about an incident involving attorney Taylor Dant. She's representing Alicia Culberson, who is now charged with multiple accounts of animal cruelty. Members of the animal rescue group, including Michael Cunningham, who you just heard from, recounted what happened when she traveled to their location in Tennessee. When crews rescued more than 150 dogs from this Chatham County home earlier this year, Animal Rescue Corps stepped in to help with rehab. Cunningham says that a day before the animals were to be released out of the animal rescue group's care, the defense attorney showed up. Now, legally, she had a right to inspect, but it was how she showed up and her wanting to retrieve 2 dogs to take back to Graham, North Carolina, that set off red flags. So we have currently reached out to attorney Taylor Dant about this motion to have her dismissed from this case. Still waiting to hear it back, but Dana really shows you how far people will go when it comes to animals.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Aaron, reporting live in Chatham County. Thank you.
Tonight, the city of Durham is expected to get back the $37,000 it spent to bring Monica to last weekend's Bimbe Festival. Monica didn't show up to the festival, claiming she was never contracted. The city was working with a Cary man named Chris Weeks, who runs a promoting business. He says he has an agreement with Monica's team, booking her for the festival. In a statement to WRAL, Weeks says, "I had a contract for Monica to perform through one of her booking agents. She didn't perform, and the fees are due back tomorrow. Once received, I will return it to the city and put this unfortunate incident to rest." Could retired police animals one day receive health benefits from the state? Lawmakers are considering making that a state law. Owners of retired canines and police horses could receive up to $1,500 a year for veterinary services. The bill passed through a legislative committee today where law enforcement officials and animal rights groups both spoke in support of it. To read more about this proposal, check out our story on WRAL.com.
UNC just got rid of its DEI policy. The Board of Governors claims it doesn't work. So how did they come to that conclusion? Up next, we go in depth on why they made this decision. Plus, this weekend is Memorial Day weekend, but members of the 82nd Airborne Division have been celebrating all week long. We're going to take you to Fort Liberty for their pass and review next. Well, DEI is DOA at UNC. The Board of Governors repealed and replaced the policy. But why?
I have stated before, and I'll state again, I think that DEI is divisive.
My opinion is that DEI creates and exacerbates problems on this campus and doesn't solve them.
So they say the DEI office is divisive and isn't working. Let's explore that. Let's go in depth. So let's start with the obvious here, in the obvious spot. Does DEI work? What is the ROI on DEI? How has UNC tracked the return on investment since the office opened in 2019? Well, that's a bit confusing. So let's start with confusing thing number one, the cost, which no one really seems to know. There's a recent annual report from UNC. It includes the expenditures from the DEI office only at the Chapel Hill campus, and it comes out to $2.3 million. But system-wide, for all 17 schools, it is much more. And we have heard some big guesses.
I fully support what the UNC Board of Governors is doing in really getting rid of this wasteful spending for DEI. I've been told the figure is as high as $90 million in the system.
So that number, that $90 million number, it comes from an article by Open the Books. They looked at how many full-time UNC staffers have any DEI role, like professors who sit on committees but don't actually have a DEI title, and they don't show up on that annual report. So again, what's the cost? Well, somewhere between $2 and $90 million. Great, that narrows it down. Now, I will say $90 million does feel way too big since UNC is just at $2 million and 15 of the other 17 schools or other 16 schools are smaller. But when we asked for more specifics, for maybe a more detailed number, no one could give it to us because they don't know. The board says, in fact, that each university now has until September 1st to explain what they do, how much they spend, how much they can save, and what the school can do with those savings related to student success and well-being. Which brings me to confusing thing number two, the list of DEI programs, considering that most of them existed well before the DEI office was even created in 2019, like Project Uplift. That one dates back to 1969 as a way to introduce kids to college who otherwise wouldn't know what to expect. It gives high school students a one-day college experience. And this is an amazing stat. In this year's freshman class, 71% of the kids who went through that program and got into UNC are the first people in their family to go to college. That sounds like a success. That is a great ROI. But how much credit can we give to the DEI office for that? Well, it's hard to say. In fact, if we take another look at that list from Chapel Hill's annual report, of the 18 programs on there, 10 of them were already up and running for years before the DEI office was created. Partnerships with rural community colleges, pipelines to STEM careers, recruitment programs to put more medical professionals in rural areas, ways for lower income students to apply to college and get some financial aid. Naturally, though, we wondered, does the DEI office oversee these existing programs now, the way that they do with Project Uplift? We asked in an email and were told the programs you listed are under different departments across campus. Then why were they in the annual report? I told you, it's confusing. Also, if DEI goes, does it take all those long-standing programs with it? Are they gone too? Again, we don't know. In fact, we were told any speculation on the impact this has on specific jobs, programs, and employees is premature. So, for just a second, let's summarize. Without knowing what stays, what goes, how much it all costs, how much they'll save by making cuts, or the overall impact of these specific programs, or the DEI office itself, they already voted. Like a bad carpenter, cut first, then measure. Or you can consider this. I'm going to read you the two policies. One is the DEI policy from 2019. The other is this new policy approved today. In no particular order, I won't tell you which is which. One policy says this: the university shall continue to ensure that diverse persons of any background from North Carolina and beyond are invited, included, and treated equally. The other says the Board of Governors adopts this policy to support and facilitate efforts across the university to advance diversity and to foster an inclusive environment that engages, respects, and values all members of the university community. If you can't figure out which is which, it's kind of the point. The ideals are the same. We know that diversity, equity, and inclusion matter. How we pursue those ideals, well, that can be divisive. Let me know what you think. Diversity includes diversity of thought, of course, and I know a lot of you disagree with me often during these segments. I want to hear your thoughts. Please send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth. We should also mention that the president of the UNC system weighed in on all of this, and he says that the UNC Board of Trustees did not have the right to divert DEI money to campus police, which is something they wanted to do. The board made that decision, and they did so last week. UNC President Peter Hahn says that that was not in compliance with the Board of Governors' policies as this saga continues.
There is a lot to think about there and a lot to unpack. Well, for most of us, Memorial Day weekend is the start of summer fun. But for members of the 82nd Airborne Division at Fort Liberty, it's time to remember fallen heroes. The division closed out All-American Week with a review of troops and display of its lethal power. This is the week when old soldiers return to post and celebrate units' historic legacy. It's also a time to remind all Americans that the freedom that they enjoy is not free.
And I'm Brian Schrader, all new in the WRAL Live Center. We're getting pictures of a little bit of storm damage from Vance County. This is on Pineview Road in Henderson. One of our viewers sending us a picture of that house that fell, or that tree rather, that fell on top of the house and damaged the deck there. You can see where it's hanging off the front of the house. That passed through Henderson right around 6 o'clock this evening, and meteorologist Kat Campbell's in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at where those storms have moved now.
And the storm is held together. It's moving into Rocky Mount right now, Brian, and it's going to continue to push east into Edgecombe County. Tarboro may see some of these storms eventually arrive. Lake Gaston still seeing some rain, a few bolts of lightning, but it'll clear out there in about half an hour if you're trying to get on the water. And we've got this one small shower that may strengthen that's headed just on the north side of town in Goldsboro. We're also watching the activity near Charlotte. That could arrive a bit later on tonight. Rocky Mount, you can see the storms right over I-95 right now. Some heavy rain. We could see some winds gusting up to about 40 miles per hour. Quite a bit of lightning as well within this storm. And we've got more where this is coming from. Notice we've got those storms near Charlotte. We've got some storms in this area. Those could arrive overnight. So it's not just this evening that we've got storms. You could actually see some storms roll through early tomorrow morning, though those are unlikely to be severe. 8 a.m., we do still have about a 40% chance of a shower storm in the forecast early. Those should clear out for the most part by lunchtime. We'll get a little bit of a break before we see some scattered storms during the typical time tomorrow afternoon and evening. Those could pop up as early as 2, 3 o'clock with better storm chances a little bit later on in the evening. But if you're traveling to the coast tomorrow, it's not going to be a washout. It's about a 50% chance of a storm. Saturday, we'll wake up to some quieter weather. It's partly cloudy, heating up to the upper 80s, but feeling like the 90s with the humidity. And not as many storms around tomorrow. It's about a 40% chance. On Saturday, it would be during the typical hours, afternoon through about sunset. Let's talk tropics, though. Unfortunately, we got to talk about this. NOAA released their official hurricane season forecast today, and they are forecasting an above normal season, 17 to 25 named storms. 8 to 13 of those could become hurricanes, and 4 to 7 major hurricanes. And that's a pretty bullish forecast coming from the National Hurricane Center on the major hurricanes, unfortunately. And they do a good job with their forecast accuracy. Out of the past 5 years, they've been pretty much spot on in forecasting the number of hurricanes. If anything, they actually under forecast the tropical storms 4 out of 5 of the past year in terms of the named storms. So if anything, they're under forecasting, they're not over forecasting or overhyping this. And this season looks like it's going to be really active. We've got all the ingredients needed, so we'll keep you up to date and keep you safe as we head throughout hurricane season. It's here with us in just over a week is when it starts, June 1st. In the meantime, it's looking and feeling like summer, upper 80s to lower 90s, humid, afternoon and evening storms most days. But by the middle of next week, we've got a cold front, and that should bring some really nice weather for the end of next week.
Well, Kat, I hope you're not planning to take too much vacation during hurricane season because we're going to need you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any. I've got to save it all up for the wedding.
There you go. All right, Kat, thanks.
If you are sticking around the Triangle this holiday weekend, plenty to do. We're going to run through some of the events for you and the family and out and about next.
Today, low-cost carrier Breeze Airways launched new seasonal routes from RDU.
Two new routes took off today. One to Syracuse, New York, the other to Burlington, Vermont. The third is going to be Portland, Maine. That starts tomorrow. Each route offers twice weekly service.
Memorial Day weekend signals the opening day for many swimming pools.
It is a busy weekend for family events in the Triangle, too. WRAL lifestyle editor Kathy Hanrahan has the details in Out and About's Best Bets.
See some hot air balloons during the annual First Fruit Farm Memorial Balloon Festival on Saturday and Sunday in Lewisburg. The annual event will include a 5K, live music, balloon glows, and fireworks. Parking is $15 and admission is $15 for those over the age of 12. The Disney classic The Lion King is on stage this weekend at Durham Performing Arts Center. There are 2 performances on Saturday and Sunday. The show runs through June 9th. And on Sunday, enjoy some sweet treats during the NC Sugar Rush in downtown Raleigh's City Plaza. From noon to 7 p.m., there will be dessert vendors serving Italian ice, cookies, cookie dough, waffles, and mini donuts. There will even be some pet-friendly treats. The event will also include a DJ and live performances. These are just a few ways to get out and about this weekend. Kathy Hanrahan, WRAL News.
A lot of fun stuff. It's going to be a good weekend.
Yeah, I think so. That music from The Lion King never gets old.
And the costumes, the tickets are a little pricey, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Save up a bit. Thanks for making WRAL News your choice for local news.
Our next newscast is at 10 on Fox 50 and 11 on WRAL. Have a great night.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.